Hello.
Hello.
And we're live.
Hello, friend.
Hello, friend. We're back in the room for another Terrafae Q&A. This time, when V sorts his camera out, all the boys are here and present. We've done a couple of Q&As before with just those who could make it, but this time, we've gone for a day and a time where everybody is here. So, boys, the game is afoot. I have got no idea how much we've done since the last Q&A, so I'm not even going to try and cover that. But, yeah, I think we should just open the floor out until, if anyone comes in to ask any questions, we might just be sat here twirling thumbs for an hour. But, yeah, what are the thoughts? What are the feelings? Where we're up to? Things that have happened, things that might happen, things you want to do, things you couldn't do, things, whatever. I'll open the floor up to you guys. Get your feelings.
Well, the last one was 3 months ago.
3 months since the last Q&A.
Oh.
Yeah, that was quite a while.
A lot has happened, mate. A lot has happened.
Yeah.
Fucking hell, Taki's a
Did we do that? Go on, V.
Dad, don't worry, mate.
I was going to say, did we do that just before or after we went to Martin?
I think it was before.
Yeah.
I think it was
On
sort
the-
of like we're going to Isle of Martin.
Let's have a pre-Martin figure out.
Yeah, I think it was before, yeah.
Well, a lot's happened since Martin.
Just a bit.
A lot has happened, Foxy.
Yeah.
How do you think things have gone? Based on decisions made and
Something good, something bad.
sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
It's been alright, I think. We've had a couple of unnecessary happenings. But all in all, I'm still pissed off that we just gave him the ruby, I'll be honest.
Okay, let's cover the elephant in the room. Big U himself, Ulysses, the madcap.
The bastard cap. Yeah.
The bastard cap. What's everyone's thoughts about the situation? Given that, I mean, as was it Kitty and L'Oreal were talking, and it's like come to light that, I mean, Kitty seems to like him. And for all of the history, I suppose, and tomfoolery and things that have happened in the city because of him, I think that there did come, maybe not last week or the week before, there seemed to be a bit of a realisation when you guys were putting the foot down on there's no point running anymore.
Yeah.
He's been scrying, he knows where we are, he knows we're here and all that jazz. And then I think there was that kind of realisation moment where it was almost, are we the baddies? It's like, how many people have died
And
in
how many of them have
Calvados?
not been at our hand? Oh, wait. None.
So, obviously, turns out, given last week's events in the, because of a very random yet Poggy's wish that was made, quite surprisingly, from the DM's perspective, both of Dave's wishes
I've been
have
selfless.
out of the blue, kind of selfless, like...
But have they? I mean, all they're doing is getting him in the good graces of them above, which is what I really wants.
True. Well, I mean, the first one...
And he's done the best way of doing it.
Yeah, the first one to get all of the knowledge back was very clutch, I think. Because then you don't have to fumble around. What do we know? What can we remember?
It's allowed us to put some sort of a plan together about if we needed to go back, where we can go back, potential places to hold out, or an idea
Yeah.
of where we might need to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the
It's-
second use of the wish spell wow, that was unexpected, and it's in a way provided some really useful information, I think.
Has it? What do you mean?
For Dave, at least so far.
Yeah.
For me.
Yeah. Obviously metagaming, because I was, but if Dave chose to divulge that information, it could provide a extremely useful third party to get involved against Ulysses.
I think they probably already are / were involved.
So we're being used, basically. We're the
Don't know whether-
expendable assets that we don't even know that.
Lucy. Ulysses. My man with a plan.
Yeah, it's not. I still think everybody thinks Dave is still a bastard and he's just trying to do shit for himself. But he is a redemption paladin. He is on the path to righteousness. He is not taking things for himself anymore.
I
He's trying
think it
to
has.
do the best thing that he can, because he's realised that it's not all about being a murder hobo, and sometimes you can do just as much good and help people and get the same out of it.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, see, it's easier while you when you're like, I'm playing a redemption paladin. Like a lot of things, generally you can tie into your backstory. Maybe some shit happened in the past, and then from the start of the campaign, it's about you not being a bastard anymore. Whereas Dave started off as a bit of an arse and has gone the path of redemption, or like very, not even halfway through. Like a lot later in the game, things have changed recently, which has been good to see.
It's
I
a
like
bit
it.
different.
Picasso.
I say it's a bit different. It's very different. Like from being Guile, had a go with Azul, and it's like maybe he's not me. Dave comes in. Dave's a bastard, but I've kind of grown with Dave as such and taken a different look at it. And
I remember
it is
you
what it is
saying
now.
that you weren't keen on Azul because he was like a lot of a nicer kind of person, and you didn't really vibe with it. But then even with Dave, you don't necessarily have to be nice. And I suppose, as you've shown, you just have to not be a prick about
a complete
things.
Dick,
Yeah.
Whereas someone seems to be going the other way.
There has been nothing whatsoever indicating somebody may or may not be turning heel.
We're having a role reversal.
So coming back to the cliffhanger, Ulysses walked through the door, and I remember I said to you beforehand, but I'll say it again now because of the getting the old behind the scenes. I'd spent that day at work talking with the lad about options I had in my mind of how things will go. And I'd envisioned you'd either give him the ruby, no hassle, which ended up being the route you ended up taking. You'd either just try and fight him. I mean, I don't think ultimately that would have been the step you'd taken. But it was an option. Or I think the third option I had in my mind was that someone had just try and escape again. Because you did have... I think that was the deal sealer for me, where you had Tielen, powerful mage, Darius and his boys, you had Boron and his lot, plus all of you lot. You just had a bunch of deck pulls. And I think...
Two of us were still... One was, well, weak as F, and the other
Brant,
was...
Brant was 99% dead.
It was technically dead.
I was
Yeah.
still quite exhausted, so I wouldn't have been as useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, that... I think that in the end, that really was the only option we had. Otherwise, there would have been, I think, multiple deaths on both sides.
I think sometimes, as the situation presented itself, I mean, you'd had time. Dave had been up and asked for a day's grace, which you were granted, you know. And it's like you get that stuck between a rock and a hard place situation where, like, I suppose you don't really want him to have the ruby, but
You're not left with much of a choice, really.
yeah, what will happen if, again, you do try and stop him? So it's that was interesting. I was kind of sitting there, I think I was waiting. I was just waiting. And Dave stood up and stood between Ulysses and the ruby, and I was like, grabbing my dice. I was sat there thinking, oh, drum roll in the back of the mind, just waiting for Dave to say something.
I wanted to, mate. Believe me, I wanted to.
Yeah, I know, I could tell. It was almost like we could do like an alternate universe like situation. I mean, I don't want to, again, I can't really say a lot about what would have happened instantly.
But it would have fucking hurt.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
Oh, should I say it? Would it be...
I mean, it can't affect much now.
It's not like we're going to go back in time and do it. Or
No,
roll.
I know.
Anything who can affect time, is there? I mean, no.
It's not like
I mean,
I've got
fuck
a
it.
wish spell or
Yeah,
anything, you know?
yeah, swings and roundabouts. Fuck it. So in the moment, because of everything that had gone on, and like you'd escaped before, you've been on the run, you've had this day's grace, obviously, and then Ulysses had come in disguised. He had his 6 changeling guards with him. And he was obviously pretending to be a guard, whereas one of the guards was pretending to be him. But in that moment, like the moment anyone kicked off, there's going to be a time stop. And Ulysses was just going to walk out with it. That is what
kind
I
of
planned.
underwhelming.
Yeah, I know. But that was kind of gonna be, I suppose, to a degree. I won't say anything more on it because I don't want to spoil too much, obviously. But in the moment, like it wasn't necessarily just about kicking off, killing people to get what he wants. Ultimately, he turned up to get the ruby, and as you'd done your commune, the answer you got was they don't know. Ultimately, it's up to you. Like, if is he gonna kill anyone within the week if we give him the ruby? The answer wasn't sure. Depends on your actions. So, like, whereas you might think Ulysses is just gonna go kill everyone to get what he wants, so far, from everything that's happened,
Been quite pacified.
Yeah, quite the opposite, really.
There's not a lot of blood on his hands.
Yeah, I was about to say he hasn't actually, as far as you know, killed anyone yet.
So yeah, I mean, as I say, as underwhelming as it might have been, And perhaps more frustrating, he was just going to time stop and walk out with it. And then whatever happened beyond that, once he'd left and the time stop had finished, whether the kickoff ensued, then fair enough, but he was out. And then, because of the decisions made, like the stuff that happened immediately after, like the rapturous applause that you discovered was ordered a little bit cringy. Oh,
Pathetic.
yay! Everyone was ordered to applaud, and then the guards were moved out, or his guards were moved out. Things like started to change almost immediately. It's like whether that would have happened if you had kicked off, who knows what would have happened. But
That's another interesting thing that's come from the second wish. If the information does get back to us, that the guards didn't seem to get on with each other. He didn't seem to really care for the city guards.
Yeah, it seemed like there was a bit of a division between Ulysses and the town guard.
Ulysses' lot were just there as means to an end, I guess. Yeah. They weren't really quote-unquote guards. I don't think. I think they were just literally a bunch of boys that he'd got together and just been like, you do this.
Just an exertion
more
of power.
mercenary than guard.
Yeah.
But when you're in a city that's completely shut down and there's no other way to get paid, you've got to make your choices and get what you can, I suppose.
Yeah. You make money somehow. Make money somehow, innit?
Yeah. All those guards you revived. Get back to the city, find their missus shacked up with someone else.
I mean, it might be, but I mean, like at the end of it, they've still got their life.
I've been gone 3 days. Damn it.
Yeah.
She's married again already.
So that is another point to factor in. Ultimately, you've revived all these people. You know, there was upwards of 56 names that the church had. There's been 13 picked up plus 3. But where are the rest?
Yeah.
I
think you remember saying though that some had been repurposed by Ulysses.
Probably a good chunk of them that are zombies or were zombies and they're now living again.
So again,
a coup from the inside.
Don't mind me, boys. Just going to, I don't know how I found myself down here in the zombie pot, but you know, who knows where they are.
I wonder how those which are still zombies would react to suddenly having living next to them.
Raids.
Yeah, who knows? Yeah, I suppose that's something to maybe look into.
Oh, they are dead again. Oh,
never mind.
I mean, I tried. Can we wish again?
I mean, you've got one wish left. If you want to use your last one to bring them all to safety, I'm not going to say no.
No, I understand that. But, yeah, it's I don't know. Like I've been thinking about it, and I've been thinking about like Dave's done one thing for the homies. He's done one that's going to benefit Calvados. There's probably going to be one that's going to benefit him. Because everyone else has got stuff out of it. I mean, Dave's got stuff out of it as well. But he's not like, you know, if you, that's just as an example, if you won the lottery, you wouldn't just give your money to everybody else and not do anything with it yourself, you know?
Yeah.
So I've been thinking about what I want to do, but chances are if I don't use it soon, I'm going to end up using it to get someone out of the shit. Like Xavier did for Vulma. Was it? Did he do that for Volmar? Did he bring Volmar back?
I think he, he used one of them to expedite the process of bringing his soul back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, Tim turned up to basically be like, I've had a disturbance in the plains. A soul has fucking appeared somewhere it shouldn't be. He traced it back to Volmar's body. Saw his sister stood there, like, what the fuck? But yeah, ultimately that would have been go off on an adventure with Tim to try and find Volmar's soul.
Well,
and then again,
we have to replay that episode with a different party, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, wishes are... Yeah, it's from my perspective, like... I don't know, almost in a way, the more selfless or directly game-affecting things you wish for are, I suppose, more likely to happen. Because ultimately, the wish spell means you can cast
level 8 spells, but I think something more roleplay related, I find it much better use of a wish.
Like, rule of cool is much more likely to, like, if you wished for 1 billion gold.
Not at me.
Like,
yes,
you might
get 1 billion gold. You could collapse the economy around you, and nothing's worth anything, so you can't spend it.
Yeah, you know, there's always a consequence one way or another.
You are the only person with gold.
Yeah, and that's a bit boring. Like, ultimately, you can now afford to buy anything in the game, but whoop-de-doo. You're just going to make yourself OP and then...
a target for everyone else who wants a bit of money.
Yeah. But to ultimately something that's not... I mean, who knows what's going to happen, but we don't want to directly benefit you to bring a load of dead people back as a gesture. You know what I mean? That's cool as fuck.
Mm.
Definitely rule of cool over... You know, I mean, ultimately, potentially 56 uses of the resurrection spell is, like, a bit fucking powerful use of it, but ultimately you've not resurrected 56 titanous adventurers. You've resurrected 56 fucking town guards. You know.
Average Joes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
I want to know what's going to happen with the guards now. Like, because the guard captain said something about, we will repay your debt, or something along those lines, didn't she?
Yeah.
I want to know what's going on. I don't like not knowing.
Well, maybe we get an army now.
Be nice.
Well, you've got guards which aren't friendly with Ulysses' lot.
There's at least 13 of those.
Mm.
Yeah, as much as wanting to talk about that one, that definitely comes down to the old FOIP, the old find out in play. Did you just FOIP me? But yeah, that one's definitely a FOIP, and it's mainly because who knows? It could be entirely player led what happens next, as most things are ultimately.
In the big battle to come, do we all fight as one team, or do we have our own squads?
Squad.
Interesting you should say that, Biggie. Almost, I mean, not directly, but based on a question Vol just asked me privately, almost as like a bit of a segue into what could possibly happen, in that I've developed a new mechanic that if all boxes are ticked and the need for it arises, because, I mean, you might just retire, just stay in the trust.
I don't have that option.
But yes, basically, without going into too much full detail, the new mechanic is going to be like a warband mechanic. basically. And without giving any spoilers or reason why, I mean, it's a reasonable assumption that it's not just going to be going to knock on Ulysses' door at Martin and ask for the ruby back. There's probably going to be a kickoff, as would be a fair assumption. The mechanic is basically undertitled, like, allies are important, basically.
War were declared.
You know how I'm picturing it?
Go on.
Return of the King, the army marching on the gates of Mordor, while the rogues sneak in round the back.
I'm
Well,
kind of picturing
the
it
player
like
party
that.
sneaks in round the back.
Yeah,
Draw
I
out
think
these
so.
armies to fight each other.
You know how, like,
So-
Gandalf sort of, like, appears and all of that? And instead of charging down, he's just looking on going, oh god, they're already dead.
Oh.
And then we run
yeah.
away and go back to the Trost and forget
Back
we
to the
were ever
Trost.
adventurers.
They're already dead. Fuck it. Life goes on. Yeah, without going into the full details about it, basically there's gonna be a point system. And you guys, through the power of roleplay, are going to need to acquire a certain amount of points, or let's say army points.
Favour.
What those points constitute, etc., I'm not going to go into because find out in play. But ultimately, as a means of giving some scale to the what is to come. I mean, it's, you know what I mean. At this point, if you go to Martin, there's going to be a fight. You know that. That's not a spoiler. Ulysses isn't going to be sitting there making cups of tea for everyone. You know exactly what he's gone there to do. So, yeah, so basically you guys need to get enough points to aid with this battle. How many points you need, I'm not going to tell you. What the points constitute, how many people you need to make up a point, I'm not going to tell you. You've got to figure that out yourselves. And then when and if you get to Martin and make use of this army point system, will determine certain things to come. So I'll tell you now, if you turn up with no army points, you're fucked. But yeah, we'll see. So I thought it's a little bit of a side mechanic to mean that stuff can happen and you don't have to fight every fucking thing there. You know, you're going to have homies coming in to deal with whatever while you go deal with whatever you need to do.
Mhm.
And that's the kind of premise behind it, whilst remaining horribly vague, but, you know,
It's
I
like
can't spoil it.
how many points we've got is how much of Ulysses' army we don't have to fight before we can get to Ulysses.
I mean, to a degree, yeah, basically. There's an element of that to it, yeah. And yeah, in the interest of fairness, I'll tell you now, I've got a number in mind and I've written things down.
Is it 69?
No, it's not that many, to be fair.
You missed an opportunity there, mate.
It could, yeah, I mean, given the way I've worked out the army points, it'd be a fucking effort to get to 69. You need a certain number of points to be like, okay, we've got this gripped, you know. Anything under that, and I'm not going to give you any hints whether you've got enough or too many or whatever. And then, but any of this number I've got in mind within reason, any army points you don't have will affect things. But that's that, yeah. So allies are important, basically, and that's the aim. Oh, I don't know what your plans are, whether you're just going to, like, fuck it, we've had a day off, we've got to go to the baths after digging up a load of men, and then we're going to go straight to Martin, or whether it takes another couple of sessions before you get there. Or whether you go there at all, who knows?
Yeah,
but
you assume we're going.
yeah, exactly, you know, it's entirely up to you guys. but I've got this thing in place ready, so
I think the hardest part I'm finding is he's got the jewel, but we don't know how long it's going to take for him to do the thing. For all we know, that he's already on the island and starting the ritual. Like, we've only got days to get this done. Likewise, it could be weeks.
But one thing we do now know is that time is a lot slower on the island than it is here. So whatever we think we have, we've probably got a significant amount longer. Because if we were
I think
gone
we
for
worked it out that
11 days and it was actually 6 months, shit's going like 18 times quicker on the island than it is, or slower on the island than it is at Calvados.
yeah, I think we worked it out as like if he went straight there and it took him like 2 days or something, I think we'd have like just over a week.
couple of weeks or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, don't ask me the maths on it, because I'll tell you now, there was no exact maths on a time fuckery. There was time fuckery, and however long you were there equated to 6 months. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
Because Pidge is lazy with maths. So you don't have to worry about, Pidge, if we wait 7.5 days, can we make it in time for it to have only been a day and a half there? Like, don't worry about that bullshit. Like,
When we turn up, he's not going to have done the ritual and he's about to have started it. That's just how it happens, yeah. However
Just
long
as
it
long
takes
as you
us.
don't
is-
take,
just
best
right.
take like 4 weeks or something before we decide to go.
yeah, like, time is of the essence, I wouldn't advise going on a Wuntian booze cruise and deal with it in a month or two. But, yeah, time is of the essence. But as you said, I suppose you have got the benefit of, fuck, he's probably teleported there and started the ritual now. I suppose you have got a bit of time to,
Yeah.
have a bath and get a long rest in.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting as to how we. But I'm looking forward to it a lot.
It's going to be a big kickoff, and it's going to be a big fucking war of attrition, I think. Like, trying to find somewhere to rest and get spells back and get HP back in the middle of a fucking war zone.
What do you think I collected the clerics? They can do all the healing and the spell casting.
It's a good
Yeah.
shout.
Again, beyond that, it's all important. Allies are important. Anything you can think of, even if you think you've got enough, but another idea comes in, it's all up to you. I've got, like, from people you've kind of already spoken to and other potential options, I've got my idea on what people count for points wise in this new system. But there's 5 of you, and I can't equate for any ideas that you might have. And you may end up with fucking twice as many points as I anticipated you needing. In which case, happy days. It's going to be a lot easier than it would have been if my plan went to my original plan. But could also work the other way, and you don't have any ideas beyond stuff I've already planned. And then you may end up not having enough points. But it's there anyway, so gathering allies in the upcoming is going to be important. But then, of course, time's of the essence, so you don't have to spend 3 episodes gathering as many people as you can. Because then you might be too late, you don't know. But yes, that is kind of what's to come.
It's going to be a big one.
I've got some ideas that I want to ask around people, but
Yeah.
I mean, we clearly Boren's lot have said that they're okay, but I'm wondering if they could put out the word to any of the rest of the adventurers that are still in the city, because they're probably still going to be around. They're just doing their own thing at the moment. Maybe see if they are interested in signing up, getting a
Yep,
war
it's
band.
all things to think about.
The worst.
Yeah.
How many of the other guild leaders have got people they can call on? Like, I mean, we've got Grom, who we haven't actually looked into much yet, but he's the leader of the Fighters Guild. He may or may not have a list of people who would be willing to go and kick bash fuck out of some evil bastard man. Tielen probably has a load of wizards, mages, sorcerers, all sorts of kind of magic-y folk that
Guild of Shadows as
may
well.
be willing to help.
Hmm.
Guild
We've
of
got
Shadow
a
could-
rogue sat amongst us who knows them quite well. Could have a word. But
Yeah,
there's also
I mean,
another one I've thought of. There's a Colosseum in town. Is there any gladiators? Prisoners who are forced to fight there, would they sooner fight for their freedom elsewhere?
that's something that we might be able to wiggle with the guard captain as well.
Yeah.
Get them creative juices flowing. I love it. And that, yeah, that's what it's about.
Didn't you have a big orc, mate?
Ah,
Yeah.
yeah, that was another
Yeah.
thing.
Ogre.
But someone disappeared with the fucking token for that.
Well, that's the thing, right? He never actually agreed to go in there, and he never actually went in there. So he's probably, I can't even remember what the dude's name is, but he's probably there somewhere, still, just fighting in the pits, isn't he? But what are the chances that Garamat has got another one of those amulets?
What are the chances, Paige? Did he make a prototype or spare? I mean, it was a prototype, so whether he has a spare prototype, who knows?
If not, we might be borrowing our local T-Mobile, aka Brant, and getting in touch with Levis and getting him to come and bring the fucker back.
Give it back.
Any chance you could bring that amulet, my lad?
Yeah, you know that thing that you got given that you've probably never even fucking looked at since you left? Well, what if?
Well, I think if we're approaching it like as an army, which I'm getting the impression we're going to end up with like the Battle of Martin Part 2.
Yeah, it's just going to be like a three-peat, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I can repeat.
Electric Boogaloo.
We are going to, like, again, I wasn't expecting to have to lead the forces ourselves, but having...
You're wearing the
like,
armor and you have the
generals-
sword.
Say again, Biggie.
You're wearing the armor and you have the sword.
Yes.
Yes, you're leading the... This is your...
I mean, you don't really get a lot of choice in this matter, mate.
Yeah.
You put the armor on, you've got the sword. It's your fucking show now.
Might as well say Martin number 9 on the back.
Be renamed to the Isles of Brant.
My island now.
Yeah, exactly.
But
You can have
yeah.
one of the little islands.
Well, it's in 2 now. It's 2 big islands, yeah.
Well, it might not stay as 2 islands.
It's dust.
It might split again and we'll have about 8 islands or so.
Yeah.
History repeats itself. Brant stabs someone at the top of the volcano and the ruby splits and causes even more time warp
Like
waves on the island.
Cataclysmic breakdown.
Cataclysmic island sinkage. Well, who knows? Who knows what will happen? And that's the joy from my perspective. As much as I've got an idea and I can play the movie of Terrafae in my head, once you start adding the actors, nothing fucking happens like it's planned. Well, I mean, a lot of things happen as it's planned. But even the things that are planned and get from A to B, they definitely go from C to D to Q and then back to A and then to D.
Well, maybe you could pay us what we're worth and we won't strike.
Where's my wages? I have been paid. 46 episodes I was in and I only got 20 quid.
Love it.
Actually, having said that, after uploading the last one, we're at 23. 24,
So episode 24 in 2 parts because
Yeah.
Pidge's internet crashed.
24
Bastard.
in 2 parts. This next one is going to be 25.
Quarter of a century of episodes.
Yeah. That's mad, isn't it?
Mhm.
20.
Yeah.
This will be the 25th week we've all sat down on a Friday night.
Yeah. The one thing that has crossed my mind in that respect is that because of the way of things, and I'll be honest, I think the major turning point, was it Azul that hinted at a journey to Martin? Or was it someone else? I'm sure it was
Azul wanted
Hughes.
to go there because of the dragons.
Mm.
And he started setting it
That
up
was
with
it.
Jerome
The dragons,
and Galariel,
yeah.
and then he fucked
Pidge
off.
got drunk. Pidge got drunk
Yeah.
and added the dragons. Fuck it, the dragons go flying over.
The moral
Like
of the
looking at
story
my-
is,
lo-
don't
looking
get
at my
drunk or the
notes,
campaign
like-
goes twice as quick as it should be.
But does that mean,
I mean-
we were going to get the shard of the ruby somewhere else? So it wasn't going to be found in the Dragon's Hoard.
Or was
I
it
mean, fuck
always
it.
there?
It's happened now. Originally, so because of course I can't plan for what you're gonna do, I can only plan as options. Originally, the shard was on one of the continents, depending on where you go. And then I got drunk and thought, fuck it, dragons. Which doesn't necessarily, I didn't have to put it in the Horde, you know. I didn't necessarily have to have affected things. And then Azul might not have specifically been Azul that went, oh, dragons, let's go to Martin. It's all decisions that have been made that have led on to other things. I mean, I can tell you the original going back to the first run through of the campaign with the first couple of groups, the original story was that there was you had to go find all the pieces. There was a piece in one, piece in Kerachek, piece in Calvados. The last piece ultimately was at Martin. So instead of finding the whole ruby and one piece was left,
There's like 8 pieces originally.
it was always 5 pieces, and then there was going to be a reveal that, oh no, we've put the 5 pieces together and it's not complete, because then Ulysses had the last piece. Larissa King originally used to wear a headdress that had a piece in.
Yeah.
And it was referenced that you saw Larissa and she had this interesting ruby adorning the top of her hat. But you've not met Larissa. And ultimately the piece that Ulysses has got is off Larissa's hat. But because this story takes place like 4 years after the previous events because of Tim and whatever, I had to change things. So over those 5 years, the pieces have been gathered, and over the however long it's been. So the story changed a bit. I never foresaw this being like a 100-episode campaign because it was the first time we'd done one online, and I didn't want to have to try and get people to commit to like practically a year plus of, you know, every week. But yeah, it's definitely sped up. I don't think I anticipated episode 25 being gathering allies to ultimately go for what could be the final battle. But even then, whether it's the final battle or not, it depends what happens. So I can't say you got to turn up, fight, kill Ulysses, complete the ruby, do whatever you do with it, and that's the end of the campaign. Who knows what's going to happen? And that's the beauty of D&D. You never truly know. But it's reasonable to say there's not a huge amount of episodes left in the first campaign. But again, depends how things go.
Interesting.
That's not to say, shit, we've only got 2 episodes left, we've got to go for a fight now. If you do want to go on for another 25 episodes and you find other shit to do, fucking so be it. But you might have to have issues from Martin spreading.
Yeah.
Can't wait. It's gonna be hyper. Very good, very nice. Junior, you've been quiet. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Where is Wezzy Guan?
Go on.
What's the headspace in all this? After ultimately hanging about with his Guild of Shadows mentor Rays, then suddenly this group of chods turns up and they're like, well, we've got an issue going on. How about you hang about with us? How's Wes taken to things? Because I mean, obviously I don't know where your headspace was with Wes, what his befores and afters were, you know.
Mm-hmm. So originally his befores were just like to kind of like find some new friends, just like actually get to know people more other than Rays. But then it's turned into all of this crazy things where people have nearly died and he's kind of a bit traumatized on what's going on, but he's getting through it and he's trying to stick with it because he thinks that this is what friends are about. Sticking with each other.
Yeah, because
Like,
I remember the kind of bit of background that you sent me. I won't go into it because I don't want any spoilers, but like the stuff you sent me with what he'd done and what he wants to thing, it's ultimately finding a group of people that have got a good cause, I suppose, and
Mhm.
nice.
Whether our group has a good cause is a question for another
or
time.
a
but
cause worth pursuing.
We have a cause.
he don't have a clue.
Like, fuck it. I'm just gonna stab things really well and hope my mates don't die. Again. Kitty cat sitting there without your camera on.
It's on. I'm just not wearing a shirt, so.
Oh, fair enough. Yeah, keep them titties away.
Go on.
I think we all kind of know where Kitty's kind of been at, and I have noticed a few like nods and references you've made because of opinions Kitty has. But like, where's Kitty's mind at?
Well, that's a loaded question.
His mind is on dinner.
I mean, yeah. Apart from the obvious, likes food, likes looking pretty, is now a landlady. Like the grand scheme of things.
In the grand scheme of things, Kitty is always she doesn't want anyone to die. And everybody should be happy and not in a cage.
Yeah. That's one of the nods I was referencing.
Yeah, she is such a simplistic character when you put everything together. She will only die for the people that she loves. She will not die for you otherwise. She wanted a bed. She has a bed, so life mission complete. And then on top of that, the reason why she broke away and became a cool adventurer is to save everybody and everything, apart from the bad guys. So, if it's the case of
And the orcs.
well, she's in an existential crisis of we're the bad guys right now, but at the same time knowing we're not. We made a few mistakes, but at the end of the day, we all know that Mr. Madcap needs to be stopped, and she's gonna piss and moan about it. She doesn't want to go back to the island. She hates the island. She doesn't like boats, but people need to live. And just for you, I put a shirt on during that whole thing.
Oh,
Hey.
hey.
So yes, it's being such a simplistic character that there's nothing really apart from caveman instincts on the matter. Me punch yes, me punch no.
Love you say it back. Might change the answer.
Love you say it back.
I don't know how to feel about that. That's just like that's a V-ism coming through into Kitty, and
Yeah.
it's like
When have
Yeah.
I ever said that to you?
no, but like it's just it just sounds like something V'd do, you know?
Well, I am still Kitty at the end of the day. Like,
Well, yeah, exactly. But like it's just like it's I think that is partly the comic relief that we need in this kind of doom and gloom. Like Kitty's just all right. She's a little bit strange, but her heart's in the right place,
yeah.
and it does almost feel like she does kind of give a shit about the rest of the people who are living in the trust at the minute, and just those little like us, we're all fucking doom and oh shit, Ulysses just taken the ruby, whatever, and oh fucking Doris from the market comes down and brings the vegetables, and Kitty just chirps up and says, "Love you," you say it back. It's just like it's just that little bit of happiness, you know.
Well,
when,
obviously
when
with
Brant having a ride and you both said it in tandem, that was fucking
Wow.
brilliant.
It's
It was
beautiful.
just so perfect. Love you, and then both of you say it back.
Well, yeah, so
That was
with
amazing.
the tragic backstory, casual D&D stuff, she also wants everybody to be friends with her and stuff like that. She doesn't want anybody to be unhappy and blah blah blah. She could probably lay off the drink a bit, but we'll get to that when we're back from the islands.
That was another question I was going to ask in regards to was it a conscious choice you made to make her start drinking because of the situation that's been going on? Because she went from I'll have a milk to now she's just grabbing bottles.
It was a very conscious decision on that. As soon as the realization came in that things probably might not change, and Jesus Christ, are we the bad guys here? Sort of thing. That's So she just started taking up the bottle, and then everything started just going from tits to tits wobbly immediately. So yeah, she was just like, I guess I'll pick up a bottle. Yeah, see, Kitty's deeper than you think.
Yeah. No, it's I notice it, mate. I notice these things. Paying attention, obviously.
I hope so.
She's good to have about.
Yeah.
Definitely good to have about.
Bard.
Hello.
Where's Brant's head at? Because you've still not. I mean, obviously, if you're keeping it to yourself, I think a lot of people know out of character about what happened.
Well,
And without necessarily having to say it again, just in case people aren't aware of what happened. But like, where's his head at the minute?
very similar to Kitty, Brant's sort of mentality in the past couple of months of venturing, all the sort of near-death experiences, all the sort of like mistakes they've made where they've accidentally injured people, starting with the watchtower. He's kind of getting to the point now where he's thinking that he needs to do something drastic. He's not strong enough to stop what's happening. He's very much starting to say, we need power. We need more strength if we're going to win this. And he still believes we're on the right side. Ulysses is an evil person, despite the fact that everyone's sort of saying, well, maybe we are wrong. Brant doesn't believe that. He still believes that we're on the right track. He's starting to think maybe we need to be a bit more extreme in what we do.
Okay.
Which is exactly where L'Oreal came from with deciding to become aware. It's like we are not well equipped enough for dealing with Ulysses and his lot. Having seen it a number of times, what he's potentially capable of, she realised that we need more. We are not strong enough for this.
You know what we need next session? A montage.
Because even Rocky had a montage.
Exactly. And look how it did for him. I mean, he lost, but he still had one.
Yeah. I mean, by all means, we can do some flavorful time skips as we have done in the past. We don't necessarily have to role play out every conversation you have with every person ever, but I mean, we'll see how it goes. See how you guys feel, because we're in that situation where you've got the relative safety of the city. It's easy to just be like, I'm gonna do this or I'm gonna do that, and then there's nothing else to do, so we'll just go to bed and get a long rest. It's kind of unavoidable when there's not a huge amount to do. But we'll see how the plans pan out over the next couple of weeks. Lovely. Well, we've not had any questions through.
No, because you didn't
we
turn
are-
the redeem on.
Well, I don't think there's anyone been here anyway, to be honest. But
Shit.
I mean, we've just shot shit for an hour, but
yeah, that's it. I mean,
it's
other
good
than that,
sometimes.
yeah, it's good to have a bit of a catch up. And is there anything you guys want to say or ask or think about or have thought about but can't say in game, or
Wish Xavier was
is there
still
anything
here.
that's
I-
Xavier was? Oh, he's here.
69k points.
69k points, and I don't want to buy redeems.
Fucking hell, how's
Well,
he, how's he
ask away
catching
anyway.
up?
69k. I've got 112.
Fuck's sake.
Got
Aw.
1.6.
That's another good point as well. We've not done to be fair, we've not done a party level up challenge for a while because they go up for a month. They last 3 days and everyone gets a level. So whether we have or need another one of them
We do.
before the end, we'll see.
Be a part of
Yes,
our
we do.
montage.
Yeah. Also, don't know what to ask. Don't understand D&D. Just like to watch and learn a little. Yeah, no, I mean, there's no pressure. It does definitely means a lot having the few main regulars that we've got there that are paying attention. Because to be fair, as much as I love D&D, I do find it really difficult to go watch other people because you're ultimately turning it on to a screen of people mid scene, and it's like,
What's
you
that?
don't know who they are, you don't know where they're up to, you don't know what they're doing. So unless you've got time to sit for like an hour and pick up what's going on, it is very difficult. So it is hugely appreciated, people stopping in to watch and get involved for sure.
Yeah.
So there we go.
Not just wild magic rolls,
Yeah.
mate. Not just the wild magic.
Yeah, that's it.
The fucking deck.
Well, that's something you're
The
gonna
deck, yeah.
have to do. Is you're gonna have to change that wheel. Can't have card drawers anymore.
Can't we?
Oh, for
Bum,
fuck's
bum,
sake.
bum.
Yeah.
No, I must be honest, that's just Pidge not getting round to taking it off. And I might just leave it on and just
But what
we'll
would
see.
go there
We'll see
instead?
what happens. We'll see what happens. Because it's meant to be a rare drop anyway, so whatever.
Okay.
I don't know.
Instead of well, I don't know.
Instead of deck draws, I might just do potent wild magic.
Wild
Maybe,
magic for all.
maybe it happens to everyone, or maybe 2 things happen. I don't know.
Yeah,
Everyone
we're
gets a
all
red hand.
stood together, and everyone gets fireball at their feet.
Right, yes. Okay, boys. It's been about an hour. Been an hour's chat.
Hour and 4 minutes.
Been good. Any closing thoughts, words? We'll crack on Friday for anyone that's not there, of course. Anyone watching it on the YouTube. Hi, YouTube. But we do have the YouTube. YouTube.com/@Terrafae. You can catch the sessions uploaded the week after and stuff. But yeah, Fridays from about 4 p.m. GMT, we'll be there to see what happens next. But yeah, thanks everyone for stopping in for a little bit of a chit chat. Appreciate your time, boys, as usual. And we'll see you Friday. Much love, everybody.
Adios.
Toodle-doo.
Ducks.
Bye.
Love you, say it back.
Love you.
Love you.
Have you?